job. Great job. Thank you. You know, speaking of smart technology, I tried flirting with my AI, but it said, I don't have the bandwidth. My AI is learning to bake. The first thing it mastered was bite-sized cookies. Okay, so our next speaker, I say, is the most quoted man in the world. I can't pick up a paper without seeing a quote by Gene Seroka. So please welcome back up the Executive Director of the Port of Los Angeles to give us a Port of LA outlook, Gene Seroka.
Thanks, Winker. We're running a little bit behind time, so I'm going to try to make this as entertaining as possible with one question. Can I have your permission to take a selfie with you? How's that? Is that okay? All right. Now, look alive, and as tradition, let's see the fight on. And we're going to go both sides. Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I said look alive. All right. Good. Well, this is so appropriate because of the work at the Institute to have the great city of Long Beach hosting us again this year. All the work that is done in academia and extended to the port complex, thanks to Mayor Rex Richardson, Mario Cordero, Noel Hasagaba, and their board chair at the Harbor Commission, Frank Colonna, for hosting us again this week. Give them a big round of applause. So I'm going to fly through some of this stuff, but what's important is Marvy and Gene will be able to post this information after the meeting. So if you need to take it back to your teams, to your superiors, the folks you work with, fantastic. So you have a little bit of some data points to share. As you know, the ports of Long Beach and Los Angeles account for about 40% of our nation's containerized imports, about a third of all exports. Unbelievable in this area now where we count so much on this gateway and it continues to thrive. I can geek out on this section all day long, but two really important points, and I think they're very important for the students. Today, in the city of Los Angeles, 1 in 15 working Angelenos has a job related to this port. In Long Beach, I believe it's 1 in 8 working folks. Southern California, across 5 counties, 1 in 9 people go to work every day because of the jobs we do at this port complex. And that's about 1 million people who count on us. So the opportunities are limitless with what you're studying today to be able to jump into our industry and contribute. Equally as important as we continue to have national and global conversations around academics and supply chain, the cargo that traverses this port goes to every one of our 435 congressional districts. So you can talk to people from west to east about this complex, and it has an impact on what they do for business. Much has been stated about our trading partners and policies and tariffs. China still is the second biggest economy in the world. We lead as number 1. There's obviously great opportunity for the 2 biggest to continue our work together. We've got to find out what the ground rules are and how we go to market, but we will continue in this fashion. The difficult thing for me is that back in 2018, China was 60% of our business. Today, it's 45% and dropping. Yet, the Port of LA is still growing its business. We're chasing every pound of cargo, aligning with our partners, and making sure our value proposition remains as strong as ever. The port stakeholders are numerous, and I will tell you, there is no shortage of advice. At the same time, we count on so many people to help us do our work. David Libatique heads up our Stakeholder Engagement Bureau, and it was designed several years ago with that thought in mind. Let's bring more people together, closer, because we don't know what we don't know. and getting more advice from folks who have an interest in this port, from community and neighborhood leaders all the way to the best and the brightest in this industry, is so important to us. Wink often talks about the media, as does Nick, and I've been so pleased as to how media generally has been amplifying our message while trying to keep a steady hand on the tiller and describing the ground truth as to what's happening in the supply chain through the research that we've done in the advanced side, as well as the work that's taking place in our supply chain through those ports. Our strategic initiative, and then geared to the students as well, is very important. Building that world-class infrastructure, and that is led by Trojan alum Dina Arian-Zalen, who heads up half of our port and our development bureau. Building that infrastructure and taking that institutional knowledge allows us to be ultra competitive in our business and hopefully attract the leaders of tomorrow. Making sure that we have a safe, sustainable, and secure supply chain is not one person's job, it's all of ours. And those finances, when they're strong, we can weather anything. The past 10 years have shown that a strong and prudent financial policy can allow us to continue our investments even through cycle, whether it's a budget, an economic, or even an election cycle, we'll be there, making sure that when we come out the other side, when that plane lands, we'll be ready for what they bring to us in the supply chain. And those stakeholder groups are ultra important and a cornerstone of that strategy. We talk a lot about container business and supply chain, but this port also has 7 other unique lines of business. And yes, we need supply chain experts in our cruise business. Every cruise call into LA means more than $1 million to the local businesses. Planning that right, anticipating that through great digital products also is a way that we can increase and enhance our competitiveness. I alluded to Dina's role in the organization. She's got more than $2.5 billion of budgeted projects in place now, more than 155 on a dashboard alone across a variety of important segments for us, including our community. 10% of our operating income goes to public access and community-based public serving projects. Our engineers, our designers, construction and maintenance people work at this every single day, bringing our community closer to the port and making our port strength with that community stronger than ever. Here is where we all come together. This panel was a great setup for us. And I love in our business and talking heads on television saying AI is for me, AI is what I'm going to do next. Let me give you a couple of examples of AI for what this port looks to the future and our platform. The most polarizing conversation in our business is the automation of ports and marine terminals, a job killer, leaving communities behind, not looking out for families. We're just the opposite. Since I came on deck 11 years ago, longshore jobs have grown by 27%. And as of today, the largest employer of longshore labor across 29 ports on the west coast of the United States is the recently automated facility at AP Moeller Terminal's Pier 400. That is bringing people together. Now, I wish we could grow jobs 37, 47, 57%, but we have one simple statement at the Port of LA. Technology will continue to move faster than ever, but we will not leave the workforce behind, and we're proving it. Along with the Port of Long Beach and the California Workforce Development Board, we are building the nation's first goods movement training campus. Think of it as a terminal in a safe and secure environment, where if you're a youngster who likes to code, we're going to have a place for you. If you see this port every day and just don't know how to get involved, we'll have a storefront with counselors to help coach you up and see what could be next. If you're someone of my vintage And you need to be competitive in the workforce for the next 10, 15, or in my case, 40 years. We're going to try to upskill and reskill your talents and bring you to market a much better prepared and successful member of this supply chain. All that being said, it's going to take a community to do this. And we're not going to stop at just 20 acres of land and a few pieces of equipment. This will evolve and be woven into the fabric of our community. Much more work to do, but today a longshore member gets trained on a live marine terminal with cargo flying at high rates of speed. Let's learn this in a simulator first, then get into a safe environment with a real crane that looks over a real waterfront, but safely, and get these folks the credentials they need to get out into the workforce on these terminals. So much more ahead of us, but we're going to need a lot of help. We're going to need to learn a lot more as we continue to go into this new frontier that no one else has ever touched in our country. And AI looks different for us too. It's not just a talking point on a TV show. It's more importantly what a digital twin can do for Dina's organization below the surface of the water. We've got some great scuba divers that go out and evaluate that current underneath every single day. But those evaluators now can cover a wider swath of port property using that digital twin to make adjustments, plan and design, and construct the next generation of wharfs. It's about using simulation when the Caltrans folks decide to resurface the Vincent Thomas Bridge. We reroute traffic, we look at our driving apps. Let's use geospatial technology with great companies like Esri and Jack Dangermond, along with the Jet Propulsion Lab, to see what we could do to anticipate how traffic flows will take place, what we do when problems happen, because they always do, and how we can best get commuters and school children back and forth to their destinations without impediments. And then using predictive and prescriptive analytics to understand through the Port Optimizer, when 12 ships come in like today and they're all working great, that's super. But when one's late, and it can be, what do you do next? That prescription will think faster than the human mind. Even with all this institutional knowledge, we'll be able to take in more information and act quicker than ever before. The term jobs multiplier came up on the panel, and it's exactly what we're looking at. The Port Optimizer itself is now being used by 10,000 different organizations. And as I said, on one of these various stages, I think it was at the 6th annual summit, that this would be a service of the Port of Los Angeles. We would not charge. We would not sell data. We would not use competitors' data against one another. And that holds true to this day after 9 years. Those 10,000 organizations that use this information see value, and that's what we try to continue to create. Every morning, 0600, I have a dashboard of information. I can see this port's vital statistics in about 90 seconds to understand how we start seeing over hills and around corners and make this port better. The example I can give you is that just in the month of July, we moved more than 1 million container units, the only port in the Western Hemisphere to do so, and now we've done it twice. We did it this time without a single ship backed up, without any congestion on the terminals. That is what collaboration, community teamwork, and AI can do for your Port of Los Angeles. And all along, the ports of LA and Long Beach in 2024, just last year, had their second busiest year on record, and the pollution that emanated from this port complex was the lowest it's been since we began measuring 20 years ago. How about that, supply chain partners? Yeah. We've got a formula that doesn't require regulation or heavy-handed tactics. It's that great knowledge that this industry brings, from policy to technique to automation, academics, and understanding how we can accelerate all of these and bring them closer to home. Now, the next frontier is going to be getting from reducing diesel particulate matter from 91% down to 0. And we've got a plan for that too. We now have technology, and a public proposal will be going out this month to bring manufacturing of renewable and synthetic shipping fuel directly here to Los Angeles. That will be a new frontier. And I'm told by some experts that an entire ship can be refueled in LA with a footprint equivalent to 3 40-foot containers. Just amazing. And we're only scratching the surface. We'll have a plan to develop more infrastructure for charging and fueling of heavy-duty Class 8 trucks across the Southern California region. And a challenge to my friends at Wabtec, as well as EMD, the subsidiary of Caterpillar. There are only 2 locomotive manufacturers in the United States. Join us. Come together and let's see how we can bring the next level of technology for locomotives and trains right here to the ports of LA and Long Beach. This partnership goes back years, and it will continue into the future. And that's been developed through green shipping corridors. No less than 8 agreements with ports in Asia and private sector shipping lines to help accelerate these new fuels. We've already shown that it's possible with the Alete Maersk that arrived 1 year ago this month at the Port of LA, a 16,000 TEU workhorse vessel that sailed from Xiamen in Fujian province, central China, directly to Los Angeles in 16 days, carrying a full payload of cargo, and it sailed on e-methanol. Dual gas tanks, if you will, allowing the crew confidence that if something didn't work, they could revert to that traditional bunker fuel, but didn't need to. And that effectively first zero-emission ship gave us the confidence to go that next step and be the fueling source right here in LA for great partners like Maersk. Stephanie, thank you very much. And this industry is always one of fast followers. Right now, at the Port of Los Angeles, working is a 14,000 TEU vessel, the ONE Singapore, also dual fuel capacity that can handle methanol, ammonia, or even further development in the synthetic area. But the people at ONE say we need a fuel station. Get it up and get it running now. This is one of 20 that this company have ordered. The industry sees the future, and we collectively have to be there to support it. Future is very bright for all of us. Now, obviously, in the news every single day, more than 100 announcements on trade and tariff policy emanating from Washington since January. But if you fell asleep January 19th, and you woke up to join the 13th annual summit today, you'd see that things are really doing well. The Port of Los Angeles is up 5%. Shipping lines are carrying more cargo. But wow, has it been a roller coaster ride? And it's not over yet. When hard policy goes into place, cargo volume plummets, as we saw in the month of May. When policy is eased and timelines and deadlines are moved or extended, the cargo picks up like we've never seen it before. But these wild swings have been met by the best longshore workers in the world, by marine terminal operators who are resilient, shipping lines who continue to keep that steady flow of goods, and for us at the ports, making sure that we are supportive of those and all stakeholders is job number one. This will settle, this will get in, and if for no other reason, midterm elections and primaries are right around the corner. People are looking for that next electorate. At the same time, cooler heads will prevail. And we're starting to see some plans to go forward. But 50% tariffs from Brazil or India, are not going to last. We need to have real conversations with serious people to drive permanency into our trade endeavors and make sure the people that support the American consumers and companies who require it are first and foremost in everyone's minds. And that's why our focus remains on building this economy, creating more jobs, and developing the necessary infrastructure to support both of those every single day. I thank you for being here. I thank you for being such strong partners. And I think I've got time for one or two quick questions, but I'm happy to meet you off stage in the not too distant future. And I know we have some very special awards coming up. So I'll take the first one who raises their hand. And this looks like it was the most effective presentation I've ever given. Sir.
Gene, you gave us a very optimistic picture of how trade is going to settle in. Common sense is going to prevail. I think that will be within 12 months, 24 months.
I didn't exactly say common sense was going to prevail, but what I do think is that sometimes common sense is very uncommon. We have 414,000 manufacturing jobs open in this country today, according to the National Association of Manufacturers and our good friend, Jay Timmons. We need a sector-specific plan on manufacturing and associated jobs here domestically, a talent review of what's needed and how we need to train people up, and at the same time, a geographical advisory as to where these businesses can land that play directly into our strengths of the American supply chain. I really think above all else, and I'm talking policy, not politics, the driver and the end game will be determined by those midterm elections. When you start seeing things move in different ways, policy emanates from government, government responds to the electorate. So we'll see, but we have seen approaches that are working. On the iPhone side, auto parts, and others who have gone into Washington to look for exemptions, to look for changes in the direction of policy, some of that is edging forward. But this is a unique time. These tariffs, which are simply just taxes on products that we buy, are now the highest they've been in nearly 100 years. The impact to the U.S. economy will be real. Producer prices ticked up farther in the report yesterday than experts had imagined. And while consumer prices are still edging up just a little bit, we're in for a pretty big surprise beginning in September. So I think that will start to take shape and people will notice. But what I've said, and I've been to Washington 3 times in the last 5 weeks, tell us the ground rules so we can get to work. If we know them, we're nimble enough, we're resilient enough, and we'll make sure we get the job done. But this certainly is not for the faint of heart, yet the more information we have as supply chain people, the better we can get to work right now. Thanks, Dick. Appreciate it. Thank you all very much.